If you are looking for an early challenge in Capitalism Lab, the home comfort and co-scenario from the base game is a great place to start, or struggle. In my view, it is one of the more suitable scenarios for players who are still learning, while still providing a solid challenge, especially on the highest difficulty, tremendously harder. In this guide, we will walk step by step through a practical strategy for surviving and growing during the crucial early game. We will take a closer look at the mechanics we need to master to avoid bankruptcy, build momentum, and set ourselves up for expansion. Later on, we will also break down the endgame strategy when the goal shifts to dominating two product categories: furniture and home appliances. Welcome to the Light Proton channel. If you enjoy business strategy content and gameplay like this, do not forget to like the video and follow my channel. Thank you very much for watching the video and being part of our journey to succeed in this scenario. If you would like to jump straight into the gameplay, just press Ctrl and the right arrow key on your keyboard, or use the video timeline below to skip ahead to the gameplay chapter. But if you are curious about the thinking and strategy behind our game approach, stay here. We are just getting started. Please note that the strategy guide is focused on survival and speed to accomplish the scenario goals. At certain points, the guide sacrifices long-term profits for early progress and early accomplishment of the scenario goals. Therefore, this is just one of several possible approaches. Playing on a different difficulty level might require a different strategy. And if you have found an even stronger method, share it in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts and feedback. Now, let's jump right into the strategy guide. So, what exactly makes the home comfort and co-scenario so challenging on the highest difficulty, tremendously harder? First, we start with just 40 million in capital, a very limited budget for what the scenario demands. Even the very first sub-goal is tough: achieving market dominance in the furniture product class. That means securing the largest market share in each of the four furniture product types. And here's the catch: all of them depend on timber. This immediately creates our next big challenge. We need to set up a logging camp, which requires a large initial investment because relying on external suppliers simply is not viable. The number one priority at the beginning is survival, avoiding bankruptcy until we can reach profitability. Why is timber such a challenge? Two reasons: volume and weight. Timber is a bulky, heavy good, and transporting it across cities causes high freight costs. Those costs quickly eat into margins and can make it impossible to compete on price, especially early on when we lack strong branding and product quality. The same logic applies to the finished products, both furniture and later home appliances. Local production close to our retail markets is critical if we want to stay competitive. Because logging camps alone consume such a large share of our budget, we won't be able to produce many other raw materials or semi products ourselves. Instead, we will have to rely on external suppliers, whether through seaports or competitors, for non core input products. While vertical integration would boost profits, the upfront investment is simply too high to attempt early on. And what happens after we have managed to dominate the furniture market? This scenario reveals its main objective: securing dominance in a second industry: home appliances. These are also bulky goods, but they require different inputs. And by the time we shift focus, we are entering a more mature market. Competitors will already have established supply chains and expanded their businesses, making the challenge even sharper. And finally, we must keep in mind this scenario is played without any DLCs. That means we are missing out on several helpful features that could otherwise support us gain traction. This makes the challenge even more intense. The first sub-goal is clear: achieve market dominance in the furniture product class. But with so many challenges stacked against us, how can we survive the early game without going bankrupt? Especially when logging camps eat up so much of our starting capital. The starting point is absolutely critical. Since bulky goods like timber and furniture cannot be shipped efficiently between cities, we rely completely on the local market and its available raw materials to build our business. That means the choice of which city to start in will shape the entire run. To make a smart decision, we will first need to analyze each city's strengths and weaknesses. What are the key factors that should guide our choice? Just as a hint, one useful approach for assessing the competitive environment is Porter's 5 Forces framework. To keep things simple, we will apply this analysis to our very first product: beds. Initial investment. First, we check whether timber is available as a natural resource on the map, and then evaluate land costs, including loans. We have at most 80 million to set up the business. Therefore, we aim to keep land costs below 50 million. Quality opportunity. Be aware of cheap timber sites that produce very low quality resources. Timber quality directly affects the quality of furniture. We always aim for a timber quality of 50 or higher. Market size. Is the local population large enough, and are they paying a reasonable price for furniture? We can check this in the information center under product details. We avoid starting in cities with fewer than 1 million inhabitants, as the market will be too small to scale and our business effectively. Cost advantages. We take a look at the real wage rate. A very high rate means stronger consumer purchasing power, but also much higher production, construction, and land costs. It is usually best to start in a city with a mid-range real wage rate. Local competition. We use the product details report to check the local price and competitors. At the beginning, our furniture quality will only be around 40 to 50, with a very low brand rating. That means we will need to win customers primarily through competitive pricing. Risk of new entrants. If timber is available at a local industry goods seaport, competitors can quickly set up their own furniture production in the same city. If we still choose such a city, we need to make sure our timber quality is higher than what is offered at the seaport. Risk of substitutes. Also, we will check the consumer goods seaport for imported furniture. Competitors might simply start reselling imported products in retail stores. If their quality or price is superior, we will need to compensate through brand building, which is expensive early on. Growth potential. Finally, we consider how well the city supports future growth. Over time, we will need to invest in R&D and advertising to improve product ratings and boost margins. We will also take advantage of the retail demand bonus by using specialty furniture stores. So, how do we achieve the second and main objective: market dominance in the home appliances product class? Act fast. As soon as this goal is revealed, we need to shift focus immediately to establishing production of all 4 home appliance products. Competition is already ahead, so catching up quickly is essential. Scale smart. We will start with the coffee machine, since it scales well, has relatively low transport costs, and can even be shipped profitably to other cities. The other products, air conditioners, refrigerators, and washing machines, are bulkier and more suited for local production. Be cautious with vertical integration. At this stage, many of the necessary input products are already available on the market, either through seaports or competitors. We do not hesitate to purchase from them. Remember, our goal is to achieve market dominance, not to build the most vertically integrated supply chain. Full integration would require huge investments and too much time. Expand strategically. Prioritize entering new cities for home appliances using the same decision framework we applied to furniture. It is not necessary to be in every market. Instead, target the products where we have not yet secured the top market share or where we have lost it. If we move fast and choose our markets carefully, we can achieve all objectives in one coordinated push. To summarize, our strategy in this scenario follows a few key principles. Start with beds. They are the simplest product in the furniture category, requiring only timber. We will begin with a medium-sized factory to keep setup costs under control. Secure timber wisely. Find a logging camp location that is not too expensive, while still offering decent quality. Timber quality directly impacts furniture quality, so avoid very low quality sources. Keep production local. Furniture is bulky and costly to transport. Producing close to our retail markets minimizes freight costs and keeps our prices competitive. Pick the right city. Aim for a large population with strong demand and acceptable operating costs. Avoid cities where seaports provide timber or beds of higher quality than we can achieve early on, since that creates tougher competition. Prioritize speed over profitability. Early on, it is more important to reach the market quickly than to build the perfect supply chain. Do not hesitate to buy inputs from seaports or competitors instead of tying up capital in vertical integration. That's our plan. Ready to get into the gameplay? Grab your favorite snack and let's put this strategy into action. If you enjoy business gameplay content like this, make sure to like the video and follow the Light Proton channel for more. Interested in deeper dives into business case studies and real world strategy? Check out the Light Proton video podcast on Spotify. Prefer relaxed live sessions where we explore game features and answer viewer questions? Join the Light Proton live stream on Twitch. Please take note that this is one tested approach, not the only correct one. If you have found a stronger method, let's hear it in the comments. Now, let's jump into the game and see if our game strategy holds up. Welcome to our step-by-step strategy guide to the Capitalism Lab base game scenario Home Comforts Co. Even if you have not followed the theory behind our strategy from the introduction, we will now go through it step by step in gameplay so that you have an easy time to replay it by yourself and accomplish the scenario. And even if you are not planning to play the scenario by yourself, you may find helpful strategies, tips, how to play any other scenario or free game in Capitalism Lab. We will play a new game. We will play the scenario Home Comforts Co. on the highest difficulty level, which is tremendously harder. Let's start the game. We play the corporation Light Proton Corporation. My name is Light Proton, and I will be the CEO of the company. Before starting any business and setting up firms on the map, I always recommend, no matter what scenario we are playing, to first analyze the environment and our company's situation before doing the first steps. We see that our company has initial cash of 40 million. This is not a lot for the scenario. We will come to this later. It will be a challenge to survive the early game with only 40 million, and we will definitely make use of loans to get to all those initial investments we need to do. The scenario always starts with 4 cities. They are randomly chosen by the game in the beginning. So when you play it by yourself, you will most likely see a different combination of cities here on the world map. In our game, we see Stuttgart, Milan, Singapore, and Santiago as being part of our game. And we have to choose which city we will start to establish our business. When we check in the information center and the manufacturer's guide the furniture product class, then we will see that all those products are quite heavy and bulky, which means that the transportation costs are quite high. This also impacts our strategy. We will aim to produce those furniture products locally in the same city where we plan to sell them to avoid high transportation costs when they need to be shipped across the globe to different cities and reduce our margin and our competitive pricing position. Our scenarios goals can also be found in the information center. We have first the home furniture sub-goal, where we, within 20 years of gameplay until 1st of January 2010, we need to gain market dominance in the furniture industry. This means for all 4 products, we need to be the company with the highest market share compared to all AI competitors. And we cannot simply attain this by simply selling beds or tables or chairs with a very, very low price. We also need to achieve an annual revenue of 100 million and an annual operating profit of 10 million. When we achieve this, the main goal of this scenario will be revealed, and we receive rewards which will help us to also achieve the main goal actually. As we have decided to produce locally, we need to decide which city to choose where to establish our business, where we first produce our furniture products and second, also in the same city, sell our furniture products. And this is quite an important decision, and we need to analyze the environment first and the cities first before we can take this decision. The first and one of the important indicators to investigate is the population in each city, the number of inhabitants, because the number of inhabitants also make our potential customers. The higher the population, the larger the market, the more customers we can potentially sell our products. So my recommendation is to not choose a city below 1 million inhabitants. So the starting city should always have a population of minimum 1 million inhabitants. This is the case for all of those cities, so this is not a critical item here. Second, we will also investigate the real wage rate. The higher the real wage rate, the higher the land costs, setup costs, and running costs of our businesses and firms. But also, the higher the real wage rate, the higher the purchasing power of the population in the city. Therefore, we will try to achieve and look for a balanced approach where we have not too high costs to set up and run our business, at the same time a high enough purchasing power that we can grow quickly. This means we will more likely choose a city rather than the mid-range of the real wage rates, not the highest one and not the lowest one. Let's check this out later once again. To produce furniture, we need timber. And timber is extracted via logging camps from raw material sites. So in each city, we of course first need to investigate whether timber is available and under what condition, how much it costs, and what is the quality of the raw material. For example, in Stuttgart, we see there's one timber site, this one with quality 53. This is not too bad. at least it's above 50, and the land cost is 27 million, which is also quite okay. Let's check out Milan. Here we have a timber site with quality level 61, also not too bad. 36 million, a little bit more expensive. We have Singapore. Here we find a timber site which has quality 58, also in some kind the mid-range. Land costs are 29. And Santiago, where we actually don't find this timber site at all. Another important aspect is not to only find a city where we have timber available through a timber site, we also need to investigate whether competitors have an easy way to also go into the furniture market in the same city and be our competitor. Therefore, it's also always important to understand whether in the seaports, which provide raw materials and consumer goods to a city, will offer furniture goods or their raw materials which are needed to produce furniture. Is this the case in Stuttgart? Let's check it out. For those goods, it's not the case. And also here we don't find timber. This is already good. So no easy way for a competitor to also start producing furniture in Stuttgart. But on the other side, we see that here a sofa is provided by a seaport. So we will definitely later on find a competitor just selling the sofa from the seaport into the city and being an easy competitor to us. So Stuttgart is probably not the best starting city. Milan, let's also check here the industry seaports. Here we don't find timber. Also here, no timber provided. This is already good. But we find a bed which is provided by the seaport here, which means that also here again, it's an easy substitute product to our self-produced bed, and it's easy way also for a competitor to enter the furniture market. So also Milan is probably not the best starting position. What about Singapore? Here at this consumer goods seaport, we don't find any furniture product. Also here in this industrial goods seaport, no timber provided. Here, leather provided, which is helpful, which is one of the raw materials we need, but no timber. And in this seaport, we also see no furniture here. So Singapore could be one of the candidates to actually choose as a starting city. We remember that Santiago is not an option because Santiago does not provide timber as a natural resource at all. But let's also check out the seaports here. No timber, no furniture, and also no timber. It would be a potential starting position, but not as good as Singapore, as obviously we need access to a timber site. Singapore has a large population and not too low rebate rate, but I think it's still acceptable. And at a certain point, when choosing the starting city, we always need to somehow balance the different decision criteria. Another aspect is the local competition in the starting city. This can be investigated in the information center and in the product details. We first select here bed because we will produce bed as a first product, very easy to be produced. Only timber is raw material required. A lot of timber, but it's the only input product. Checking the product details for Singapore, the local competition. The overall product rating is 62, made of brand rating 46, quality 42, and price 274. This is already a quite good overall product rating. So we will definitely have a hard time to sell our beds here in Singapore. Sometimes it might be easier if the overall product rating is below 50. However, as Singapore is a good starting city, we will establish our first firms and our first production line for furniture here in Singapore. So how can we accomplish that? Already the land costs are almost 30 million. Together with factory, retail stores, and the logging camp, the 40 millions will definitely not be sufficient. So right from day one, we need to increase our initial capital, and this can be done by borrowing money from banks. And in this case, to have a little bit of a buffer and enough money to set up our businesses, we will make use of our complete credit limit. We will borrow 40 million in cash so that in total we have now 80 million on our bank account. And this also means, as credit limit is now $0, that this is everything we can use to establish our business. If it does not work with 80 million, then we will be most likely within a few months bankrupt and not survive the early game. Let's start to establish our business now. We will start with natural resource firm and a logging camp right on top on the timber side. We'll start very lean with only one logging unit and one sales unit. We will be very cost efficient for the beginning. Here's our first timber, quality 58. We will leave everything as it is. And now we need to establish a factory to produce bed. As a rule of thumb, the transport cost of finished products are usually higher than of raw materials. So we should rather transport the raw material over longer distances than the finished products. This means that we will establish the factory. We will choose a medium-sized factory. It is not too expensive. At the same time, has a good output so that we can scale our business a bit in this starting city. We will choose a location which is not too far away from the central business district where we have good retail locations. At the same time, we'll be also on a straight line to the logging camp to minimize transportation distances. We will choose a location maybe around here, which is not too expensive, not as expensive as here in the central business district, where we also need the space for our retail stores, at the same time not too far away. 6 million, if we would choose this location, it would be 5, but I think we should go here and establish it here. Producing bed needs one input material, we know that, timber, so 2 purchasing units, 2 sales units, and a layout with 5 manufacturing units. We link everything together. We will link the purchasing unit against our logging tab, also here. And now run the simulation for a day. Timber has arrived in our factory, and we will now select bed to be produced in all of those manufacturing units. For now, we will not invest any money into training. We first want to ramp up our business and see how fast demand comes. So we will invest training only in case we are really scaling our business. Next, we need to establish a retail store. And we will, in this scenario, always choose a special retail store which is specialized on those product classes which we aim to produce and sell. Because we see here that for the furniture store in this case, there's a retail demand bonus, which is compared to that not the case for a supermarket or department store. And we will make use of this retail store demand bonus to further improve our position in competition and boost our business. We will see this later how this works. Essentially, it works by simply establishing more furniture store means more special retail stores of the same time in the same city. With all those buildings on the map, sometimes we miss out the very best slots where we can squeeze in a high customer traffic location our furniture store. Therefore, I recommend to set filters so that we have a good oversight. And we see here we can squeeze in our retail store with an extremely high customer traffic index of 104. It has very high land costs of more than 12 million. However, it will boost demand and make it easier to ramp up our business. So we will take it for now. We see that almost 60 million from our 80 million are already gone. So it was definitely necessary to take and borrow a lot of money from banks. We'll start with one purchasing unit and one sales unit to test and check how our product sells. We will link again bed from our factory. I think the factory has not yet produced any beds, so we should run the simulation for another day or two until the first beds are available. We will set the price which the retail store pays to the factory for this to a lower value, so that we have a higher flexibility to manage our margin in the retail store. It's not necessary that we do all the profits in the factory. We at least want to have it in the retail store. We see here that already the overall rating is 83. And when checking here the costs for transportation, we see already that the cost for timber is 0.22. Cost for transportation is 0.18. So almost doubling the raw material costs. This is the case because timber is bulky and heavy to be transported and expensive to be transported. Now, having bed produced, we can link our purchasing unit in the retail store and the furniture store to the factory and actually start selling the bed in the furniture store. Now, here it arrived, and we need to compare the overall product rating of our own self-produced beds with the city average. And we have already seen that the city overall average rating is 61, quite high. And with the default settings here, our rating is much lower. So customers will probably avoid our product and not buy it. We need to improve the overall rating of our product, otherwise we will not sell much. This can be done by improving our brand rating. Obviously it's 0 because we have a new brand. The quality rating, which is 44, mainly influenced at the moment by the raw material. We are not running any research and development, R&D projects to improve the production technology, and the price. And the price exactly is what we can change now easily to improve our overall product rating. That's why we will now reduce the price to a value which is higher than costs plus transportation costs, and so low that we are competitive. And this is always the case when we have an overall product rating which is higher than the city overall product rating. So we reduce the price to $180. This is a very, very low price for a bed compared to what we have in city. This alone will already attract customers. And at the same time, the overall rating is now higher. It's a better deal for our customers. So soon we will see that demand will improve. To improve our brand rating, we need to run advertising campaigns. This can be done by an advertising unit, which we will make use of later when we get profitable and reach the break-even point of our company. However, one thing we need to always set up in the very beginning is the corporate brand strategy, because changing it in a later stage will reset the brand rating to 0 as we would introduce a new brand. I recommend for this scenario to choose the range brand strategy. In my view, it's a good balance between synergies of sharing one brand across the same products of a product class, at the same time not diluting the brand with other brands, other product classes, and making it hard for customers to understand what the brand stands for, which would be the case with the corporate brand, range brand. And also something we should check in the beginning is our own person's expertise. This is our CEO here. We see that we have an business expertise in furniture, which is very, very helpful. This boosts our R&D projects. We have 6 knowledge points left. We will assign them all to furniture to even further boost the R&D project we will run later, and have other bonuses as well. Let's now check out if demand increases, and we see that the red bar just right now from the start reaches the right end of this sales unit. This means demand is very, very high right from the start. What is the reason? We have extremely high customer traffic index of more than 100, which is very, very good. Our product is very cheap. We can offer this because we produce at a very low price, and at the same time the overall rating is higher than the city overall. This boosts demand a lot. So one sales unit probably cannot meet the demand. We should add 2 more sales units so that in total we have 3 sales units connected to one purchasing unit selling what is procured from our factory. This is the most efficient setup, having one purchasing unit connected to 3 sales units. And we see now, while the simulation continues, that demand is still higher than supply. This means that those sales units need to increase their efficiency, their output, which can be done by investing money into training. So right away, as we see that demand is quite high, we will now already invest into training, which adds to our running costs. At the same time, will soon enable our sales units to sell more. The same we will also check now in our factory, the medium-sized factory. It seems that the medium-sized factory does not have an issue with producing enough bed. We see here that supply in our sales units of the factory is quite high. This is the yellow bar, and demand from factory's perspective is low, so no issue at all. However, it seems that supply of timber is not going well. There's one manufacturing unit not receiving any timber at the moment, and this needs to be fixed by going into the logging camp and adding more logging units so that more timber is harvested in the logging camp at the same time. Link everything. This is now the case, and to even increase the output of the logging camp, we can also here invest into training so that the experience level of those units increases. There are 24 workers per unit, and one by one they will be now trained, gain experience, and therefore work faster. Now returning to our retail store, we are now already in February. Let's check how sales go. We are selling a lot. This is very good. And this means if demand is much higher than supply, that we have a potential to increase our product price and make higher profits. Even if this would decrease our overall rating, at the moment demand is so high, we can try with a moderate price increase to earn more money and at the same time still sell as many beds as possible. And this seems to be still the case. There's no issue with increasing prices. Another aspect and another way to improve the overall product rating is to improve the quality. The quality of bed, and this is part of the information center in the manufacturer's guide, is influenced and impacted by the production technology, 50%, and the raw material technology, 50%. This means raw material plays a role. This is determined by the timber coming from the logging camp, and fixed in this case, it's 58. And the production technology, this is our knowledge of producing beds. This can also be checked in the corporate details report under technology. When we filter, we see bed. This is currently in production. Current technology level is 30. 30 and raw material quality together make out the total quality of our product. And as production technology also has such a high impact on the product quality, we will now invest into R&D so that we improve the production technology so that our product is of higher quality. Let's do that. Investing money into R&D, we always need to be a little bit cautious about that, is a long-term effort and quite expensive. Costs us per month around 400K plus setup costs for the R&D center. Therefore, we will choose for research and development always those cities which have the lowest real wage rate so that we save as much cost as possible when setting up R&D project. This is Santiago in this case. We will now switch to Santiago, go to the suburban area. Land costs should not be too high here, and establish an R&D center. Here, we see land costs below 2 million, which is good. Always choose this layout. One product R&D unit in the center, surrounded by 8 product R&D units connected to it. Start an R&D project, filter, and choose bed. I usually recommend to choose the 1-year research project duration, as it has a higher tech advancement than doing 2 times 6 months. At the same time, we also gain tech advancement within 1 year at least, and we have not to wait for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, or even 10 years. And we will see now that it's quite expensive for this research project, and we cannot easily put this on pause and save the costs, as this would stop the project and we need to restart it again. Another way to improve the overall product rating is to also invest into our brand through our advertising unit. The advertising unit needs to simply be connected to our sales unit here, and then we can link to media and run advertising campaigns. We will not do this at the moment, as already now the product sells so well that we don't have an issue with demand. There's no point in investing to brand for the moment. Rather, we will check whether we can offer our bed for a higher price, so that as demand is so high, we earn higher profits from our products. The reason we do that is that within a reasonable time, we need to reach the break even. At the moment, we see this in this small diagram here. We are running into losses. We are not selling enough with a high enough price of bed that we cover our costs of our corporation. Therefore, we will continue to increase the price of our product so that we earn more money as much as we can. We also see here and observe here now that while we sell bed, the experience level of those sales and purchasing units are already increasing. We see that the training program we are running here is increasing the output. We can sell more to meet demand, and therefore also our revenue as well our profits are increasing, and soon this should help to achieve here the break even before we run out of money. If we run out of money, we are bankrupt. In this situation, when demand is so high and still exceeding supply, there is always the option to further boost sales by, if the factory has enough capacity and also login cam has enough capacity, by adding another purchasing unit, add another 3 sales units, and do the same as before. Link this to bed and also sell them. So we double the sales capacity in our store. Let's see if this further helps to achieve higher profits. We see that our losses are slowly decreasing. We have a more detailed view, again in the information center under financials in the income statement. We see a year to date, our operating revenue is now around 6 million. Our expenses are around 10 million, which means an operating loss of more than 4 million. We are actually currently burning money. Soon this should, with higher operating revenue, be covered, and therefore we should be profitable within a few months before we use up all of the money we have still left on our bank account, around 10 million now. If this does not work, then we need to reduce our expense. At the moment, our expenses are also increasing. You need to keep an eye on that. Producing timber is at the moment very expensive. This is one reason. The other reason is also that our factory at the moment is still not profitable. We probably reach the break even now. And for our, no, this was not the right. For our retail store, we are still growing our business. Revenue is now 2 million. We still have growth potential. We see here in this chart that we approximately own 30% of the market share, and we still can go for the other 2/3. When we have reached this, then we will definitely sell so many beds that we will reach the break-even point. Now we are getting closer to this 0 line. We see this here already. It seems that supply is fine for the moment. Demand is not so much exceeding supply. So probably it's time to reduce the price again to make our product a little bit more attractive and sell more, as we can actually supply the demand at the moment. could make sense to also now aim to have a higher overall rating than competition for the moment. This will, of course, reduce our profits at this instant moment. However, as we will be selling more bets, this will probably lead to higher profits in sum. We run a training program here for the factory. Factory can easily produce enough beds. And for our logging camp, I think we can stop the training program now, passing to training as enough timber is provided by the logging camp to produce beds. Now demand is increasing, but we cannot meet demand. We should increase the price again. This is where we go into micromanagement now to find the best price position, so that we have a well balance between supply and demand, so that in the end we have the highest profits and can cover for our company costs. The first year is almost over now. We are in December 1990. We are still good. We have almost 10 million left. Let's increase the price a little bit. If it goes too fast for you, you can always pause the game for a moment by either here setting the game speed to 0 or pressing the 0 key on the keyboard, and then adjust any setting and resume by probably pressing 3 with game speed 3. We see here a slight green, so probably very soon we are profitable. We will have a tech advancement very, very soon, within a few days from our 1-year research and demand project. This will improve our overall product rating and also help to get through higher prices and still be competitive. Now this looks good. Profits go up. Now we get a message. This is always important. There's a timber deposit discovered near Santiago. We can quickly check this out. In Santiago, we did not have a timber resource so far, so it's the first one in the city. It's of low quality, so not really interesting for us. We will leave it aside, return to our starting city, Singapore, and manage that we get profitable. And in January, the first time now, let's check this also out in the finance report, in our corporate income statement, in last month, the first time we had an operating profit of 100K. And in total, even a net profit of more than 600K. Let's continue. Hopefully this gets better and better. Now our R&D project is complete. We can check this out by clicking on the event tracker and going there. Already automatically, the next research project is started to have a technology gain from 58 now to 84 in, again, 1 year time. This is good. We will leave it like that. Return to Singapore and see how it impacts our product quality. We see now how it increases as the factory can produce bed of higher quality now. From time to time, they will now arrive in the retail store and the overall quality of the products being sold improve. In the factory, we now have a product quality of 58. This is much better. This means our product overall rating gets higher, and we can increase a little bit our price and sell at a higher price. Now, as we are profitable, well, let's complete March first, then we will see how much money we are earning at the moment. We can consider to run advertising campaigns to build up our brand. Now it's 1st of April. Let's check our income statement. We see here that we have an operating profit of a little bit more than 200K. This means we can afford to run a brand campaign of around 100 to 150K. We will now make use of the advertisement unit and link to media with the highest rating point. This is the newspaper publisher, and leave the monthly spending at 100. We should definitely afford it. This will add to our brand rating, and soon there will not be a 0. There should be a 1 or a 2 and growing further. We still invest into training. We can sell more, as we obviously see it here. The factory is producing still enough. We don't need to do training here. And for the logging camp, this is easy. Demand from the logging camp perspective is much lower than for supply. It can take 1 or 2 years to stabilize our corporation. So until we are really profitable and we survive the early game phase where we are quite vulnerable. What is the critical aspect about what we are currently doing here is we don't have a diversified strategy. We are selling beds as only product. So whenever a competitor also enters the market in Singapore and selling bed, we will have an issue because they will probably eat up from our market share and we will need to compete through a lower price or something else. That's why it's very important as soon as possible. This is not the case at the moment, but as soon as possible, to diversify into other products of the furniture product class. And at the same time, that's also why it is so important when we choose the starting city, that we choose a starting city where it is not easy for a competitor to enter the same market because there's no raw material provided via industry good seaports or provided even a furniture product through a consumer goods seaport. We are getting better and better. Still, revenue is increasing, profits are increasing, brand is still zero. The amount of budget we need to improve the brand rating also depends on the population size. The higher the population, the more money we need to invest into brand building because we need to reach more people. And Singapore has 3.5 million inhabitants, and this makes brand building quite expensive. Therefore, we should now consider to double expensive to 200 and see whether this helps us to establish our brand. Since everything is going so well for the moment, we can now, and we are profitable, we can now consider to even grow our business. There are different options. We can simply add more sales capacity. So setting up another retail store and selling more bed. This is possible. We have half of the market share and there's the potential to also capture the other half of the market share, or we start to produce some of the other products of the product class of furniture. Which one would it be? It could be chair, sofa, or table. Table is currently not possible. There's no glass available on the market, so simply there's no way to produce a table. We obviously don't have enough money to set up glass production by ourselves. Sofa is possible. Leather is available through a seaport, I guess. Cotton we will find on the market, it seems. And timber we are producing by ourselves. And this seems to be the same for the chair. And now, table is not possible. Bed is already being produced. It's a decision between chair and sofa. And here I recommend to do a little bit and a very quick market analysis. For chair, clicking on chair and then on product details, we see in Singapore, there's no AI competitor. There are only local competitors. The overall product rating is 49. So it's medium. It's possible to compete against them. We might try this. And the market size of 7 million is quite high. So this could be interesting. Let's also check out the sofa. This would be the other option. In the product details report, we see no competitor selling it. Market size is also 7 million, quite high. The overall product rating is a little bit higher with more than 50, which means that it might be a little bit more difficult to compete against local competitors, which means that chair could be the better choice. Also, one aspect where you can keep an eye on is the necessity index, the index which shows how much customers really need it to live their lives. And for furniture, all is 40%, so it does not make a difference. I believe we should go with chair and set up a factory and set up a retail store to start selling chair. With 9 million on our bank account, this will not be enough. We will definitely need to take loans. I mean, check our financials. We currently still have per month an income of more than 200K. And we have now a credit limit of another 25 million. We could take loans, for example, for 20 million so that we can set up another factory and also another retail store. This is quite a significant step now, and there's also some risk in it. Therefore, if you play the game by yourself and you reach this point successfully, which I hope, I recommend to save the game so that whenever something goes wrong, you can revert to the save game and try a different approach. Let's do that. Let's borrow 20 million. This means we add monthly interest of another 135 million. We can afford it for the moment, but it will definitely be expensive for us now. We need another factory, medium-sized one again. Again, we will probably establish it here. Or now the transport costs do not factor so much in, impact our product not so much. Why? What is the reason? In the manufacturer's guide, we see that we do not need so much timber as for a chair than for a bed. Of course, we know this from real life, but also here in the numbers we see it, 120 for a bed, whereas only 15 for a chair. So we could choose a different location for a factory, which is cheaper and accepting a little bit higher transport costs. For example, somewhere around here, or even as we need to most likely import goods from the seaports closer to the seaport. I think this is not a good location. We should definitely aim for somewhere around here. Compared to a location here, it's more than 6 million. Land costs are 5.8 million around here. Let's choose this location. We require 3 input products. This means we need 4 purchasing units. We have 3 manufacturing units, 2 sales units. In the manufacturer's report, we see how much we need. We need timber, cotton, and linen. First link timber. Let's link it here and here. And here in the center, we will purchase cotton. Let's see where we get it from. Obviously not from the current city, but from a seaport from Stuttgart. And also for the third input product, we get it from a seaport in Milan. Let's start production. Chair, here it is. We again reduced the price. We asked to be paid to the factory to buy it from a retail store. Our rating is 80. And now we need to establish another retail store. We still have 20 million. Let's see whether this is enough to set up a furniture store and ramp up our business. There are very good locations here. Customer traffic index 83, 84. Also very expensive. But anyway, let's risk it. We will start with the purchasing unit, 3 sales units. And again, like that. We first start to sell chairs here. And we need to improve our overall product rating by simply reducing the price we ask for the product. Let's set it like that. It's a comparable, very low price. Alone this should already attract a lot of customers. We see that demand gets higher and higher right away. And in the same store, we will now also start to sell bed, as we still have capacity here. Demand is not too high. Still there's some room to sell more bread from the factory. Sometimes price synchronization does not work right from the start. That's when we go into the original store and adjust the price a little bit. Probably set it now so low that we are higher than the city overall rating. We will now here stop purchasing bed. You will see why in a minute. We now sell everything which is still available here. And instead of selling 2 times our beds in the same retail store, we will now link to our chair producing factory and also sell chairs. And this will add to this firm retail demand bonus, whereas with one retail store we had 1 star, now we already have 2 stars. Maximum is 5 stars. The higher the number of stars we see here, the higher the demand bonus and the more we can sell. So now we should increase the price a little bit. This also synchronizes the price with this store, so that demand here will also now increase. It takes a while until demand gets higher and higher here, because customers do not know that in this retail store chairs are being sold. So they first need to get to know, but we see that this goes very, very fast. We have a customer traffic index of 132 already. So this is quite nice. In the first moment, we will not be profitable because setting up a new production line comes with extra costs. But as our chairs sell so well, we definitely very easily get back into profitable area. What about our brand rating? We now have brand rating 1, which comes from brand awareness through advertising campaigns. And this not only applies to the bed, but also, as we are running a range brand, also to our chairs. So the chair is already benefiting from the improved brand awareness. From time to time, we link against another media company to also reach other customers, potential customers, through other media. The bed sells really, really well. We should increase the price a little bit. Also here we should invest into training. We can sell more. We can now split advertising campaigns. Spend 100 in this store and also 100 here, and at the same time run those at 2 different media companies. So distributing the budget to 2 media companies. And also an important aspect now is to improve the product rating, not only through improving the brand awareness for the chair, but also the quality of the product. This means setting up another retail research and development center. We go back to Santiago, where we have the lowest real wage rate, and set another R&D center here in this suburban area. Here, no training in R&D centers. It's too expensive. Starting R&D now also for the chair for 1 year, the same as for the bed. In October 1992, we should have a production technology advancement. And this way, we make sure that whenever a new competitor comes up, we already have an high-quality product which can easily compete against any new entrants in the furniture product class. And this is the way how we further set up and scale our business in the early game to also achieve our first goal, to reach market dominance in the furniture industry. There's a report here in the corporate details and under dominance where we stand with our furniture whole product class market share. For the product of bed and chair, we are currently first. This is good. But for the whole product class, we are second, as in other cities than Singapore, competitors are selling furniture products and even more than we are currently selling. They could scale faster as they had a stronger financial position, but through our smart strategy, soon we will overtake them. We still have a huge potential. We see that we can sell more shares. Market share is still, a lot of market share can be captured in Singapore. Singapore is a big city with more than 3 million inhabitants. Same is for the case for bed. And we still have in front of us producing and selling the sofa, and maybe at a later stage when someone of the competitors will produce glass, also the table. So there's still a very realistic chance that we can achieve this. And at the same time, we also see that already revenue is 1/3 of what is the target. So also this is very realistic to be achieved. So from there, the next steps would be the same as we did this for bed and chair, set up production for the other two products and scale our business in Singapore. And when we have set up all those products and are selling them in Singapore, we can move on to establish local production, factories, a logging camp, and retail stores in one of the other cities. And the same as we did this, selecting a starting city, the same there should be always, whenever we enter with a certain product, a new city, market, investigate the environment, the competition, the preconditions, and select this city which is most attractive and has the best environment to quickly scale and profitably scale our business and grow our business there. And now, after 2 hours of playtime, we have finally achieved the sub-goal, home furniture. How did we accomplish this? We consistently, according to our strategy, managed the businesses we have set up in our starting city in Singapore, which means this time now 5 retail stores, furniture stores, and 4 medium-sized factories producing furniture products. We always kept an eye on improving the brand rating through investing into advertising campaigns, improving the quality rating of our products through R&D projects, and also managing the pricing so that in total, for all of our furniture products, our overall product rating is a little bit higher than the city average product rating, but not too high so that we still have a good price and a high margin, which adds to our revenue stream. And this way, Singapore, with the businesses and retail stores, generates a consistent income stream, which provides us the funding to further grow our business. Please always keep in mind that the bottleneck of selling more of our products might not always be the capacity of our sales units, as for example here in this case for the product of sofa. It also could be the factory itself. If we see that in the factories the demand bar, the red bar, is longer than the yellow bar, the supply bar, then it always makes sense to invest into training so that the manufacturing units gain an experience level and this way provide a higher output, produce more goods we can sell in our retail stores. But just to have those production lines in one city is not enough to achieve the sub-goal and reach the goal of market dominance in the furniture industry. We always also have to emerge into a second city. We have selected Stuttgart as our second city, where we also set up all product lines and also 4 retail stores, furniture stores. Why Stuttgart? Stuttgart had the advantage that one of those industrial goods seaports provided timber as a natural resource. As we know that setting up a logging camp is quite expensive, here we could save the costs for setting up a logging camp and we are just purchasing timber from the industrial goods seaport for our production. We have set up 4 factories, all medium-sized, with producing all the 4 products of the furniture class and also 4 retail stores. And the same as in our starting city. Also here, we managed the brand rating. We invested into advertising campaigns in 3 retail stores, always selecting another media company to run advertising. Also, we benefited from the improved quality rating of our products through the R&D projects, which we already kept running. And of course, managing the price so that, again, the overall rating of our products we sell here is a little bit higher than the city average overall product rating, but not too high, so that we still have a high margin and good income from that. And with that, we now have achieved the goal. Just as a side note, it is not strictly necessary, to also produce the input products we need, for example, for chairs, sofas, or tables by ourselves. We can simply, if available on the market, link our purchasing units to either seaports who provide the input products or to competitors who also produce those products and offer them on the market. We can check the sub-goal achieved here in the goals report of the information center. We see that we have already almost 160 million of annual revenue, an annual operating profit of more than 40 million, and we attained market dominance in the furniture industry. This can also be checked in the corporate details report. This is always good to see where we stand with our businesses. In the dominance tab, we see here that for all products that our market share equals the leader market share. This means we are first in rank. And now we can get the rewards. This is a corporate cash bonus of 50 million and additional 50 knowledge points, which we can definitely use to further boost our business. We click on Get the Rewards Now, and this reveals the new goal, this time the main goal of our scenario. And we not only have to reach market dominance in the furniture industry, so we need to actually retain it, we also now need to reach market dominance in the home appliance industry. So a new industry with different products where we now need to exactly do the same. Start production, start selling those products, and try to achieve the highest market share of all competitors. Again, we have 20 years time. We also need to attain an annual revenue of 200, which is not reached yet, and an annual operating profit of 20 million, which is already the case with 40 million. For the points which we retrieved for our person expertise, we can now distribute them over this view in person, our own person expertise. And I recommend to either invest them into improving the furniture product class expertise, because this boosts the R&D projects and makes them even faster, so we can retain the market dominance, or invest it into training, because with training we can improve the output and increase the output of our factories and of our retail stores. And with a higher expertise rating in training is more efficient. The units gain faster experience points and therefore increase their productivity much faster than before. And this is what we exactly will do so in this example, in this scenario. Hit apply. Also, as a side note, don't hesitate to take bank loans to quickly grow our business. And pace is definitely always important when we need to capture a lot of market share in short time. Don't hesitate to borrow as much money as possible. With improving our earnings, we also increase our credit limit, and it's possible to take loans whenever we want to extend our business. We see that now the total loan is already 140 million, and still the credit limit is more than 100 million. This means we can still take more loan to grow our business, which we might need. For the moment, with the 50 million, which we got as a reward from achieving the sub-goal, we are in a good position to start our home appliances business. And now it is time to set up the home appliance industry. We can check what it means to attain market dominance in the home appliance industry in terms of which products are meant by that, you can check that in the information center in the manufacturer's guide. Here in the product class home appliance, we find all of the 4 product types which belong to that. And for each of those product types, we have to accomplish the highest market share compared to all competitors. This is an air conditioner, the refrigerator, and the washing machine, and the coffee machine. There are some things which are similar to furniture product class. For example, those 3 products, air conditioner, refrigerator, and washing machine, which are quite heavy and bulky goods, which are again expensive to be transported across different cities. So for those 3 products, we might prefer to produce them locally. However, this is not exactly the case for the coffee machine. The coffee machine is a lighter product which can be shipped to other cities. Transport costs should not be as high. So therefore, we can consider to produce the coffee machine at a central place and from there distribute it to other cities. And this makes even more sense when we check on the world map the location of those 4 cities, part of our scenario. If you find 2 cities, like here, Stuttgart and Milan, which are close to each other, this makes even more sense to produce coffee machines in one of those 2 cities and then distribute them to both at the same time to sell as many as possible. How do we come to the decision to whether start producing coffee machines in Stuttgart or in Milan? Again, we will do a quick analysis of the environment and of the competitive situation in those cities. In Stuttgart, we always check if the coffee machine is already available in one of those seaports. This is not the case. It's only the refrigerator which is already available. But for the coffee machine, this is not the case. So Stuttgart could be a good starting point. Let's also check Milan. In Milan, we don't find it at one of those seaports. So also Milan would be a potential candidate. Let's check out the competition in both cities. We click in the manufacturer's guide on the coffee machine, check the product details report. And here for Milan, we see there's no competitor producing or selling coffee machines in Milan so far. So this might be a good candidate. Also for the local competitors, the overall product rating with 38 is quite acceptable low. So we might have a good market entry here and can grow our market share quite quickly. For Stuttgart, we see here that there is a competitor already selling coffee machines. It seems that they are purchased from a seaport from somewhere else with a quality of 76, quite high, and then being sold in Stuttgart. So this competitor, Single Mind, is actually doing what we also had already in our mind. They procure the coffee machine from another city, ship it over to Stuttgart and sell it there. We will not do the same. We will produce the coffee machine by ourselves. And we need to ensure before we start that and set up the factory to be able to buy the input products we require, the semi-products or raw materials we require, that we can buy them on the open market. And this is the case for aluminum, electronic components, and plastic. As we see for each of those items here, there's a green check mark. This means somehow we can purchase this on the open market. Let's now stay in Milan and set up a factory, a medium-sized factory for the start, now to produce coffee machines. We will, as we will procure products probably from other cities, put the factory not too far away from the seaports. At the same time, we will set it up not too far away from the central business district, where we will finally sell those products. I think this is a good location. Let's set up the factory here and once again check what we need. Aluminum, electronic components, and plastic. 3 input products, so we need 4 purchasing units, 3 manufacturing units, and 2 sales units. We link the units with each other And now we check how much we need. We need plastic, 5, aluminum, 5, electronic components, 1 unit. Aluminum is provided by Speedy Avian in a factory with low demand. Quality is 62. This is what we will choose as a supplier for aluminum. Then we need plastic. Let's see whether plastic is available. In the current city, this is not the case, so we need to extend the search to all cities. Plastic is available in a seaport in Stuttgart, so we will get it from there. And we need electronic components. Let's first check whether there's, yes, they are produced in the same city at 2 places. Quality is not too high. We will choose, though this is more expensive, we will choose this factory as a supplier as demand is quite low. And this ensures that we definitely will, for the start, get enough electronic components to ramp up our production. And this is everything we need for manufacturing a coffee machine. We need to set the instruction to produce actually the coffee machine and not the hi-fi system. Here it is, our first coffee machine. The quality rating is quite low, only 27. Reduce the price. The retail stores have to pay to the factory to retrieve the coffee machine. And now we will set up a retail store. In this case, we will set up an electronics store. Where is it? Here it is. Because also for electronic stores, it's the case that we achieve a retail demand bonus when we set up multiple ones in the same city. They're a little bit bigger than the furniture stores. Therefore, we need more space and it's more expensive to set it up. We see that already the land costs are almost 20 million for the very, and sometimes even above 20 million for the high customer traffic index locations. Let's choose a very good one with 85. This should be good. We have still a lot of money from the rewards we gained from achieving the sub goal. Now we start with 1 purchasing unit and 1 sales unit. We link to the coffee machine we are producing by ourselves, retrieving it from the factory and now managing the pricing here. Luckily, the city overall rating is not too high, so just by reducing the price, we can already achieve a higher overall product rating and demand will quickly increase so that we are confident enough to also add more sales units to sell more coffee machines. We will not right from the start do advertising on our brand, on our range brand for home appliances products, because the quality is so low that when we achieve brand awareness and people get aware of the brand and they come to our store and buy the product, they might be disappointed by the low quality. And then we, in the end up with a negative brand loyalty, which actually hurts our brand rating again. So first step would be to improve the quality of our coffee machines. And this means setting up research and development programs. We decided to set up R&D centers in Santiago, as Santiago has the lowest real wage rate, which means that the running costs and the setup costs of those R&D centers are lowest compared to all other cities. Start R&D, coffee machine, and now we can consider to first start with a 6-month research project to improve a little bit already the quality of the coffee machines and later switch to 1 year. No, we will directly switch to 1 year. The tech advancement is 3 times from 6 months. So this makes more sense. This is more efficient. Let's observe what is happening here. Demand is increasing. It's not higher than supply, so we will still keep everything like it is. Let's check what is the situation now in Stuttgart. In Stuttgart, also local competition is not too high, so we can compete against local competition. However, it will be difficult to compete against Single Mind. We can try whether we will be successful. We have enough money to do some experiments. So let's go to Stuttgart and in the city center also set up an electronics store and try to sell our coffee machines. This is a good location. It has customer traffic index 65. This is only 43. Here we have 64. This is 41. So we will set it up here. One purchasing unit, one sales unit. And we purchase the coffee machine. Here it is. And now again, we reduce the price so that we have a higher overall rating than the city average. And already now demand is quickly rising. Therefore, we add 2 more sales units and sell the products to the people. We see here that in the purchasing unit that the coffee machine costs us 54 when we buy it from the factory, and on top of that 62 in transport costs, which is actually higher than what we need to pay to the factory. So we see here already that transport costs can get quite high even if the cities are not too far away from each other. And those $62 are lost to our margin. When we compare this to Milan, here the transport costs are compared to that only $8, much lower. So a lot of money is retained in our business, and for Stuttgart, those $60 are unfortunately costs, and we don't have anything from that. That's why we, for those product classes, usually will prefer to produce locally. The same as we have set up now the coffee machine and sell this, we will also, for all other products, step by step set up production and sell those products in the different cities to grow our market share in the market. Here we see, just as an example for the coffee machine, that the leader market share is 30% over all cities. We are currently at 5%. So a lot of things still to do to accomplish the market dominance of the home appliances industry. Now we have set up local production and retail for the home appliance industry in 2 cities. We have chosen the 2 cities Milan and Stuttgart because both of them are close to each other on the world map, and therefore transport costs between those cities are not too high. And now we have 4 factories to produce each of the product types in the product class of home appliances in Milan, and 2 electronic stores where in each we have set up to sell 2 of those products. We manage the price so that the overall rating is a little bit higher than the city average, which is quite a challenge as our quality of our product is still quite low. We are running R&D projects to improve that. And after we have improved that, we will also invest to brand campaigns to build up brand rating. We see that sales are going well. The demand exceeds the supply. We have attained already high market shares in Milan, so it was a good selection, a good decision to go first to Milan because there's hardly any competition. Therefore, we could grow very, very quickly. And we also did the same with 2 electronic stores in Stuttgart. We have one selling coffee machines and air cons, both being supplied from Milan. That's why supply is not sufficient and demand is much higher than supply. We will fix this in a minute. And this is the second electronic store where no, this is not the case. Where's our second electronic store? Here, this is the second electronic store where we sell a washing machine and the refrigerator, both the same way, locally produced. And now let's check in the corporate details report in the information center, where we stand in terms of market dominance. And we see that for all furniture products, we are currently first in rank. So this makes the market dominance of the furniture industry goal already completed for the moment. Of course, if competition accelerates and others overtake, this will be gone and we need to defend it and need to get it back. And for home appliances, we achieved this already for the refrigerator and the washing machine, but we are not yet there yet with the coffee machine and the air conditioner, whereas the leader has a market share of around 30%. One of the reasons why we are not selling more than we could maybe is that we do not have local production, not enough production capacity in Stuttgart, and this is what we will fix now. We will set up another medium-sized factory here in the city of Stuttgart. And now, first of all, check what we need to produce an aircon, electronic components, and steel. Two input products, which makes it a layout with 4 purchasing units and 4 manufacturing units, as well as 1 sales unit. We need steel, a lot of steel, and electronic components. Like, find a supplier. We find one in the current city. Now let's resume the simulation. The air conditioner is being produced. We reduce the price of the aircon, which is being sold from the factory to our retail stores. Now we go here to this purchasing unit, currently being linked to the factory in Milan, having total transport costs of 63. Now we will link to another supplier, the one from the current city. And here we actually can, in this overview, benchmark both suppliers, our factory in Milan and our factory in Stuttgart. And we see here that the quality is almost the same. This is determined by the input products. It seems that in Milan we have a little bit of a higher quality input products. However, the freight costs are quite different. It's more than $60 when we transport from Milan to Stuttgart, and just 7.81 when we choose to distribute it right from the local factory. And with that, we should be able to produce more air conditioners and sell more of them in the store. The same we will now do with the coffee machine. Let's wait a little bit until we have more money on our bank account. It's down to 6 million now, and this is not sufficient to set up a full new factory for the moment. That's why we wait for a moment while money is coming in from all our sales. See that supply is recovering. Let's now set up also a factory for producing coffee machines with the aluminum, electronic components, and plastic. A layout with 4 purchasing units, 2 sales units, 3 manufacturing units. We need most aluminum or plastic. There's one producer of aluminum. We are their customer. We need plastic. This can be procured from a seaport, and electronic components. There's currently no supplier in Stuttgart. This is interesting. Need to get it from somewhere else. It's very high quality electronic components available from Speedy Avian in Milan, which comes with acceptable freight costs. Now we need to select the coffee machine to be produced here. Here it is. We reduce the price from the factory. And now link here to the one produced in Stuttgart. And also here we see the same, that the freight costs significantly are reduced from more than 60 to just a little bit more than 8. Now supply should improve. We always max out training. Now we sell more coffee machines. We quickly gain market share, even capturing a little bit of market share from the competitor, I believe. To accelerate this, we can lower the price now, as we have a higher margin now, saving a lot of transport costs. Even go a little bit more aggressive in terms of pricing. Like that. And now we wait a little bit to see how the sales figures develop. At the moment, the coffee machine is the last product where we are not yet with the highest market share among all competitors. I think it still takes a while until we reach it. To further improve the situation, we can even look for an opportunity to sell it somewhere else where competition is not too high. In Santiago, for example. So we can simply set up a factory also in Santiago. Luckily, this is not needed anymore. Now it is the time that we also achieved the main goal, and this way successfully completed the home comforts co-scenario within 2 to 3 hours of playing time, with a strategy which heavily relies on scaling very, very quickly and exactly executing a step-by-step strategy so that we achieve those goals. We have an annual revenue of more than 200 million. It's actually 300 million already. Annual operating profit of more than 70 million, which is definitely far above what is required. We attained market dominance in the furniture industry, market dominance in the home appliance industry, and got a score bonus of 389 points. So we could now continue the gameplay to further grow our business. One interesting step could be to invest into vertical integration and produce more of those semi-products. We need to assemble the final product by ourselves. This would grow our income and would boost our revenue, or could emerge also into other product classes to sell other products, the same as we do this for furniture and home appliances. Congratulations! We have achieved all of the goals of the home comforts and co scenario. I hope you enjoyed our session and you learned a little bit from this step-by-step strategy guide. Feel free to share your strategy if it's even stronger than that one or deviates from it and is another solution to this scenario. Thank you for watching. Happy gaming and see you soon again.